So good morning everyone, my name is Lalit Soni and you are watching Drishti IAS. In this live session, we will be talking about today's Indian Express newspaper. We will be talking about these 3-4 important articles. We will see around the world, 1 or 2 articles we will take from there, and then for your own read there will be 1 article which we have already discussed, and then in the last there will be a practice session. This is the front page of today's newspaper, curtains on the campaign 2024. So since we are moving to the final phase of the elections and the campaigning has officially been stopped now, okay, and now Prime Minister would visit a particular place in Kanyakumari for meditation. So that will also be covered in for your own read. Okay. Now let's start with the today's practice question. We will talk about this practice question which was given to you in the previous lecture. Then here you can see successful launch of Agniban sorted. We have already talked about this Agniban sorted earlier. So now you can see that why newspaper is important, because in newspaper you will see that these news articles are repeated again and again. That will be acting as a revision for you. Earlier when we have talked about this, that we have seen that a private company, that is Agnikul, they will be going for a particular launch, or you can say they will be launching a particular rocket. They will be testing a rocket, then that will be in 2024. Okay, and now they have actually gone for it and they have successfully tested it. Okay, so this particular item becomes important for you because it has been in news for like 2-3 times. Okay, and since you are in the connection with the newspaper daily, you will be knowing about this particular thing that we have already talked about this thing. Okay, so that is one thing. Second is statutory bail to Sarjil Imam. Okay, so this person was in jail, he is under trial, okay, under the sedition charges, and there are other charges as well. But in the sedition per se, there was this particular statutory bail which has happened. We will talk about what are the provisions and why the court has given the bail, and then we will see even after giving the bail why he is still inside the jail. Okay, so that is the second thing. And then ascertaining blood alcohol level. You must have heard about this you can say Pune accident case, in which the court has said that that juvenile which was accused in this particular case was asked to write an essay of 300 words. Okay, so that case was quite famous, and in that regard there was this issue that he was drunk or not. Okay, so blood alcohol level was to be ascertained at that particular point of time. So there are certain provisions. We will see what are the limits and how much time should be there within which you have to take the sample. Okay, all these things we will be talking about in this particular session. Now let's start with the first one, and that is your practice question. Okay, Barak river flows through the states of Assam, Manipur, Mizoram, all of the above. Okay, so the thing is, when we are talking about such questions, we have to go for the most appropriate answer. Now we know that it is flowing through Manipur and parts of Mizoram as well. Okay, we don't know about Assam. Okay, but the thing is, Barak rivers, some tributaries are also forming a basin. When we talk about the Barak basin, that is in Assam as well. Okay, so considering that, we will go for all of the above. Okay, because in UPSC or otherwise also you have to choose the most appropriate answer over here. So that is why we will mark that is all of the above here. Now starting with the first article, that is related to the startup launches Agniban with world's 3D printed engine. Now this particular vehicle, when we are talking about this particular Agniban rocket, they have tested it. Now the thing is, there are certain things which has happened for the first time, and there are certain things which has happened for the second time, and that is why this article becomes very much important. So I would suggest that whatever things which I have highlighted over here, please keep a focus on that. Okay, so let's start with the article here. After calling off its launch at least 4 times, the suborbital launch of private startup Agnikul's vehicle, that is Agniban sorted, which has happened successfully. Now the name of the startup is Agnikul. Okay, name of the vehicle is Agniban, that is sorted. Okay, so that is the name of the vehicle. They have sent it to the you can say suborbital launch. Okay, now what happens is they have launched it, they have tested it, and again it has come and it was disposed in the sea. Okay, now here you can say it is the second launch by a private startup. Earlier also there was this private startup, that is Skyroot. They have gone for such launch in 2022. So this was the first private startup. This is the second private startup who has gone for such things. But the thing is, when we are talking about the first of this particular experiment, that is related that this is the first time when it is 3D printed engine has been used over here. Okay, we will talk about that as well. Now here you can say first one to use a private launch pad. We know that when we are talking about these testing sites, the launch pads, we have few, like you have one in Sriharikota, etc. So in Sriharikota only, that is a spaceport for us, because considering the place it is located, it does not have to go for any kind of a dog's legs phenomena over there. So that is why Sriharikota is a prominent location from which we go for such tests. Okay. Now they have also made a company's own launch pad over there, that is in Sriharikota. So please remember that they have launched it from Sriharikota but from company's launch pad. Okay, so that is the first one to use private launch pad that company has set up at the country's only operational spaceport, that is your Sriharikota. Now PM has said that the successful launch of Agniban rocket powered by the first single piece 3D printed semi-cryogenic engine is a momentous occasion for India's space sector. Now we have talked about this particular thing, that ISRO and the commercial arms like Antariksh, NSIL, etc., they are going for promotions of you can say private sector in the ISRO. Okay, so this is a big development with respect to that. Okay. Now the name is Agniban sorted by Agnikul Cosmos. Okay, so please remember this thing. Now coming to the InSpace. InSpace is a body of, you can say, a governmental body that is responsible for coordinating with the private space sector. Now the thing is, since we are boosting them, so we have to give them some kind of support, coordination. So for that, this space body is there, that is InSpace. Okay, so please remember that as well. Okay, so that is InSpace. Now Agniban is also the first launch vehicle in the world to use a single piece 3D printed engine. Now when we are talking about the typical engines which are basically created, what happens is that first the parts are made. Once the parts are made, they are assembled together and then they are moved to the launching site. Okay, but in this particular case, what happened that in 3D phenomena, when we are talking about the 3D printing, it is a kind of a layered printing. Okay, you will give them a prompt, okay, a draft of that particular you can say the design of that particular engine will be set up. Okay, and you will be giving a prompt and they will create using the layers of additive or the materials they have to use. Like this, they will form layers, and in that regard, in one by one layer will be formed and the whole piece will be created in a single piece. Okay, so this rocket has been created in a single piece. It was not that it was created in parts and then assembled. No, it was like a single piece, and you can say that will actually, you can say, save a lot of time, because earlier what used to happen is that different part has to be made and there were different hurdles, and then they used to be assembled. So there was this time of assembly as well, and then it has to be moved. So it was a time taking process. In this case, you can save that. Okay, so typically the parts of engine are manufactured separately and assembled later using 3D printer or the 3D printed manufacturing process, likely to bring down the launch cost, cut down the vehicle assembly time. Okay, so basically they are saying that it is more affordable as well as more less time consuming. Okay, company aims to offer affordable launch services to the small satellite. Obviously, if company is going into this particular, you can say, sector, they will be aspiring to go for providing services to the other small satellite launching services like that. Okay, now world's most integrated single shot 3D printed piece. Okay, so as I told you, this is world's first 3D printed engine. It signals the ability to rapidly assemble rockets by this particular company. So that is an advantage for us. Now here you can say it demonstrated India's first semi-cryogenic engine. That engine is called Agni-Let. Okay, so we have talked about two things. One is, this is the company Agnikul Cosmos. This is the rocket, and the engine which they have used over here is that is Agni-Let. Okay, so remember that the scramjet, etc. So whatever engines are there, one of them is Agni-Let, that is a semi-cryogenic engine. Okay, now here you can say uses cooled oxygen as a fuel. Cryogenic means, cryo means cool. Okay, cryo means you can say ice like something. So basically here they are using a cooled oxygen as a fuel. Okay, so that is there. So please remember that it is using cooled oxygen as fuel. Okay, that is why it is a semi-cryogenic engine. When we are talking about the cryogenic engines, such as one used in the upper stage of the Indian heavy launch vehicle, that is LMV3. When we are talking about the most powerful rocket launcher as of now, satellite launcher as of now we have, that is LMV3. Earlier it was used to be known as GSLV Mark 3. Okay, now it is known as LMV3. uses gases liquefied at extremely low temperature as fuel. Similarly, it is also using the same thing, oxygen as a gas at an extremely low temperature, that is by cooled oxygen. Okay, so whenever you are hearing this word cryo, that means that it will be at an extremely low temperature. Okay, so that is about cryogenic engine. Now it can launch from its mobile launch pad Dhanush from any location. Now this launch vehicle they have made, okay, it can be launched from any location. It is a movable or a portable vehicle. Okay, so here you can say the launch vehicle has been designed in a way it can be launched from its mobile launch pad, that is Dhanush, from any location. So this name also becomes important for you. Okay, and the payload, or you can say the range in which they can launch the satellites, that is 30 kg to 300 kg. As I told you earlier, there was this company, that is Skyroot. They have also sent can say suborbital launch they have done in 2022, and it is likely to undertake its first orbital launch this year. Okay, now full support of InSpace and ISRO to design and build original space worthy hardware in India. Now basically they are saying that ISRO and InSpace are helping the private players over here. Now for us, that InSpace is important, AgniLet is important, Agniban sorted, and AgniCool Cosmos is important. What kind of fuel they have used? That is basically, you can say cooled oxygen fuel, or you can say semi cryogenic fuel. Okay, so that is about this article. Now we can move further. Second article I have taken from Economy, and the page number is given, that is 16. IBC played a key role in helping bank recover from NPA crisis. Now when we are talking about this NPAs, or when we are talking about the insolvency and the bankruptcy code, etc., they were not in news recently, but their provisions are still important. Okay, so I have seen this article, so I have taken this. Here you can see a key role in helping bank recover from the non-performing assets. Non-performing assets are those assets, let's say bank has given a loan. Okay, that person was supposed to, you can say, give the installments every month, and he has actually gone for skipping the 3 installments. In such cases, we will see that such loan has been a bad asset or a non-performing asset, because the loan is not being recovered or the interest has not been paid. Okay, so such loans are basically non-performing assets. Okay, so here you can say a key role in helping bank recover from the non-performing assets. Why this issue was there of non-performing assets? Because without scrutiny, banks were giving loans, because there was this thing that we have to go for giving loans so that economy can boost. By giving loan, there will be money to invest in the infrastructure and the, you can say, capacity building, etc. But what has happened, that there are certain companies which did not have a good track record, or you can say did not have the capacity to repay the loan. They were given the loan, okay, without much credit score, or without much scrutiny, and that is why this particular problem of NPAs has started. Okay, after the government changed, and then there was this law in insolvency and bankruptcy code which came, and the government is saying that it has helped us recover from the NPA crisis. Now it has built trust and transparency in the financial system. IBC continued as the key mechanism for banks to recover stressed assets, accounting for the greatest recovery among different channels in 2022-23. That is 43% of the total you can say amount recovered. Now S&P, yesterday we have talked about this S&P global ratings, that has upgrade from that upgrade is a good one. That is what our finance minister has said, that the upgrade was that earlier it was, you can say, stable outlook for Indian economy, or the, when we are talking about the credit scores, etc., it was earlier stable, now it is positive. Okay, when we are talking about the ratings are still same. Okay, so rating is your B minus for long term, and A3 for short term. So these are basically, you can say, these are your credit ratings, or you can say the way market can trust you is that this is somewhere, if you are coming here and spending money, or you can say investing money over here, that high chances are there that your investments are safe here. Okay, so still it is a lower grade of, you can say, investment category, but the thing is still it's a investment category, and it is saying that your you can say funds, your investments are safe over here. Okay, so that is a good one. After the, you can say, this particular report has said that even after the general elections, the outlook will be fine. Okay, Indian economy will do good despite election results. Okay, so sovereign rating outlook on India to positive from stable, citing the country's long-term growth prospects, and it was said that it felt were sustainable and irrespective of the outcome of general elections. Okay. Here, while retaining the rating of India at low investment grade, as I told you, this is the low investment grade, but still it is an investment grade and not the vulnerable parts. Okay. S&P hinted at much desired rating upgrade for the country over the next 24 months, subjected to several parameters, that is cautious fiscal and the monetary policies. So basically they have said that they will go for upgrade in the ratings as well if our monetary and the fiscal policies are performing fine. Okay. So this rating we have already discussed. Now coming back to the insolvency and bankruptcy code, we will talk about 2-3 provisions of that will be easy for you to recall this particular act. Here you can see about insolvency and the bankruptcy code. It came in 2016. It is the bankruptcy law of India which seeks to consolidate the existing framework by creating a single law for insolvency and the bankruptcy. Okay. We had provisions, we have scattered provisions earlier. Now they have made a comprehensive provision under insolvency and bankruptcy. It provides for a time bound process to resolve the insolvency. Now why time bound? Because if it is taking more time, ultimately the assets will be you can say depreciating. So that is why that is a time bound process in which if you are liquidating the assets or if you are going for the recovery, so in a time bound manner you can go for the recovery. Otherwise what happens is that it will be lingering on, and that is why it will not be good for the bank's books. Okay. Now applicability, the provisions of the code are applicable to companies, limited liability entities, firms and individuals, all the entity other than the financial service providers. So all the entities which are doing business other than the financial service providers like bank etc. Okay, banks, NBFCs etc. So that is about your insolvency bankruptcy. Here one aspect is that time bound manner. So we will take up that as well. Here you can say companies has to complete the entire insolvency exercise within 180 days. Okay. So they are saying that within 180 days you will have to finish the exercise. The deadline may extend it if the creditors do not raise objection to the extension. Now it is on the creditors who has given the money. If they do not have any kind of objection, then this timeline can be extended. Now for smaller companies including startups with an annual turnover of 1 crore, the whole exercise of insolvency must be completed within 90 days. Okay, an additional 45 days can be given or extended if creditors do not have a problem. Okay, if the debt resolution does not happen, then company go for the liquidation. Okay, after these two processes, if the debt resolution is not happening, then the company will go for liquidation. That means that now assets of the company will be sold and then the money will be recovered by that particular method. Okay, so that is about your insolvency and bankruptcy. These are certain, you can say, basic provisions of the law. Now moving further to the next article, that is about the statutory bail to Sharjil Imam. Before that, hold on a second. Okay, so statutory bail, Sharjil Imam has got bail in one case under section 436A, that is of CRPC, but he remains in the jail in another cases. So basically he has got bail in one case. There are many charges which were there. So in one case he has got the bail, but again there are other cases in which he is still going to be in the jail. So let's talk about this particular case wherein he has got the bail. Now there are certain provisions when we are talking about, let's say, bail can be a matter of right. In the bailable offence, bail is a matter of right. Okay. Then there are non-bailable offence. Non-bailable offence means that the bail will be the discretion of the judge. Okay. There are certain special you can say acts in which bail is dependent on the statute. Okay. So that is when we are talking about the UPA or the sedition that is that UPA section 13 etc. So in such cases what will happen is that the bail will be a statutory provision. If all the provisions or all the conditions are fulfilled, then only you will be getting a bail. Now bail can be on the technical grounds, on the merit of the case. All these things are there. We will not go into such details. We will just see what is 436A. We will see what is the kind of issue was there. Okay, so when we are talking about this particular case in which he has got the bail, that was related to the sedition, and sedition was actually all the cases of the sedition or the application of the sedition law was, you can say, stayed by the Supreme Court. Okay, so let's talk about it. So JNU scholar Sajid Imam got bail on Wednesday in a case of sedition and unlawful activity under Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, that is UPA. Okay, and since he has got the bail, but still he will not be released because there are another case in which he is involved. Okay, so that is 2020 Northeast Delhi riots. Okay, so that is another case. Now several other cases are pending against him, at least four other states. Okay, so he is not in custody in these cases, does not need to apply for bail. Now the four other cases which are there in other you can say states, he is not in custody in all those states because obviously he is in at some particular place, and when we are talking about these cases, he is already arrested in that, so he does not have to apply for the bail in all those cases. But over here, when we are talking about this particular case of sedition, so whenever there is the there is this particular provision that if a person who is under trial and he has spent nearly half of his time in the jail, which any statute provides for, let's say if there is a sedition and there is, let's assume 10 years of imprisonment is provided maximum. Okay, and he has spent 5 years inside the jail as a under trial, then he must be released. Okay, so that is a technical ground, there is no discretion allowed over here, then he must be released, and that is what given in the CRPC. Okay, so that is where this particular case lies, because he has spent 4 years in the jail, and wherein he has you can say spent half of the time or the half of the maximum punishment which is provided by the law. Okay, so that is why on that particular technical ground he has been granted the bail in this case. Okay, now coming to here, a bench of Justice Suresh Kumar Kait and Manoj Jain granted statutory bail to Imam after he has spent almost 4 years in prison as under trial for an alleged inflammatory speech. On the merit, he has had his bail pleas rejected several times by trial courts and the high courts. Now charges, what are the charges against him? As I told you, section 13 of UPA, punishment for unlawful activities, carries a maximum sentence of 7 years. So that is 7 years maximum sentence. Under the sedition law, that is 124A of Indian Penal Code, it carries a maximum sentence of life imprisonment. Okay, so that is there. However, in 2021, the Supreme Court stayed the operation of section 124A until the constitutional validity of the such provision is to be decided by the court. All the trial of the sedition, including imams, are effectively stayed. So basically, there were two provisions under which he was in the jail. One is the section 13 of UAPA, okay, and section 124 of IPC. Now this particular section has been, you can say, stayed by the Supreme Court, so that is why this particular will not be implemented over here. And second thing is that in this particular section the maximum punishment is 7 years. Okay, and he has spent 4 years inside the jail. So basically, the as per the law, the thing is that he has spent more than the half of the maximum punishment which is given for the section 13 in UPA. So that is why he should be granted the bail. Okay, so coming here, you can see yeah, Imam, who was arrested on January 2020, has already served half of the maximum sentence under UPA section 13. And when we are talking about the charges which are including the life imprisonment, okay, so as I told you here that in this particular IPC section 124A, life imprisonment is the maximum. So in such cases, 10 years we considered as the maximum, or you can say half time. Okay, because whenever we talk about life imprisonment, generally we go for taking it as a 20 years of case. So basically here in this particular case, if the half of the maximum punishment is to be sorted, then 10 years being inside the jail as a under trial will be sufficient. Okay, so that is not the case here because that has been stayed by the Supreme Court already. So right now we will be talking about UPA section 30. Okay, now the provision for statutory bail was introduced in 2005. Rising number of the under trial prisoners were there, and that is why they have actually gone for the statutory bail provision. That is the one which we have already talked about, that is section 436A CRPC, which says that the maximum period for which an under trial prisoner can be detained and accused is granted bail if he has served the half of the maximum period of the prescribed for the offence. Okay, so that is the basis, that is your section 436A, that is providing for the statutory bail, and it was introduced because number of under trials was increasing in the Indian jails. Okay, Now, National Crime Record Bureau data for 2022 says that there are 63,502 under trials across the country charged with offence that carries a sentence shorter than 2 years. Okay, so these many people are there inside the jail, okay, and as an under trial, and their punishment, maximum punishment for them is 2 years. Now, other protections: all the bailable offence, court must mandatory grant bail. As I told you, under the bailable offence, the bail is a matter of right. Okay, so here in the bailable offences, court has to grant the bail if the person is willing to finish a bail bond. Okay, some kind of security he is willing to give, and he is willing to say that he will be in front of the court, or he will be helping the investigation. So on such conditions and the bail bond, court will have to give the bail. Now, in the cases of non-bailable offence, it is under the court's discretion. Okay. Now, there is this default bail. Okay, to shield from the lengthy period of incarnation without trial, court has granted default bail under section 167 clause 2 of CRPC. Police have 60 days to complete an investigation. Now, let's say there was this case which has been filed, person was arrested. Now, when charges will be framed, and then only court can decide on the merit of the case that he will be getting a bail or not. But the thing is, what if the police takes a lot of time, or you can say police is actually making sure that the the FR or the final report does not go to the court, the charges has not been finished in a a sufficient amount of time. So in this case, there is a provision that police has to finish these charges within 60 days. Okay, so and within 60 days you have to finish the charges and put in front of the magistrate in the case in the form of a final report. Okay, now second is that in cases like death sentence, where the punishment is prescribed like death sentence or life imprisonment, or the jail terms which is not less than 10 years, in such cases the investigation must be finished in 90 days. So there are two cases. One, in the normal cases there will be a 60 days of time to file the charges. And when we are talking about the other cases like more serious crime like death sentence is there, or the life imprisonment is there, or more than 10 years is given, in such cases 90 days are given to the police. Okay, now within this particular time, if police is not able to present the final report, and police is not able to finish the charge sheet, okay, so the default bail will be granted. Default bail will be granted to the accused. He will be released on the default bail. Okay, so these are certain rights which are related to the bail, so which you should remember. In case police is not filing a charge sheet within 60 days or the 90 days respectively for the cases, in such cases there will be a default case. Then there is the statutory bail provision which is given under 436A of CRPC, which is saying that if someone has spent nearly half of the time which is basically described, or you can say prescribed as the maximum punishment, then he must also be given a bail over here. Okay, so that is about this case. Now we can move further to the next article. Now, ascertaining an accused blood alcohol level. Recently there was this case, 17-year-old son of a Pune builder was reportedly inebriated while driving at a high speed when he crashed into a motorbike, killing two young IT professionals on May 19. It has now come to light that the blood sample collected for the test of the alcohol content at the time of the incidents were swept by the forensic team. One of India's top forensic experts explained why blood samples should be collected immediately after the incident and what happens if they are not. Okay, so basically they are saying that what is the right time when you should collect the blood sample so that you can have the proper you can say forensic evidences. Okay, now when should a blood sample be collected after such an incident? Now 10 hours is the time. After the incident happens, within 10 hours you have to take the sample. Okay, why is that? There is the washing rate of alcohol. Washing rate of alcohol means that you have consumed the alcohol, and after some time the effect of alcohol will be reducing. It will be consumed by the metabolism of the body, or the you can say the metabolic activities of bodies, which reduce the amount of alcohol by itself. Okay, but still there are some traces which will be there, and on the basis of these traces we can determine that how much alcohol was there at that particular point of time. But again, if you are taking the sample at a faster rate, or you can say if you are taking the sample within the 10 hours, then there are more chances that you will be using evidence, or you will have a strong evidence. Okay, now here you can say the washing rate of alcohol is around 10 to 15 milligram per milliliter or per hour. So basically here they are saying that if you are taking a sample of 100 ml, okay, so per hour you will be losing 10 to 15 milligram of alcohol from that. Okay, that is basically being metabolized by the body. Okay, so that is your washing rate of alcohol. So this rate differs from young men, for the older person, woman, etc. That is the different, depending on the body and the metabolism. So that rate basically differed, but on average we can say that that is 10 to 15 milligram milliliter per hour. Okay, based on the blood alcohol level found in the sample, it is very easy to determine the level at the time of the incidents. Okay, since we know that this is the rate at which it will decrease, so we can identify, like now 10 hours back, it is the whatever amount of alcohol it was there in the body. On the basis of that, we will, you can say, come at a conclusion that 10 hours before, that much amount of alcohol should have been in the body. Okay, so that is there. Based on the blood alcohol level found in the sample, it is very easy to determine the level at the time of the incident. It is even possible to calculate the blood alcohol level at the time of incident after 10 hours passed based on the traces. As I told you, even after the 10 hours, we can go for the, you can say, calculation of that particular amount based on the traces. But again, that for us to have a strong evidence, we should collect the you can say sample within 10 hours. What happens if the alcohol is completely metabolized by the time sample is collected? Okay, so you have collected the sample, but the alcohol has been metabolized completely. Okay, the blood alcohol level is found to be 0. It does not invalidate the person has been drinking. Okay, now the thing is, if you are not able to take the data of the alcohol, or you could not be able to take the sample from the body, what will happen? In that case, there are other evidences, like you can go for the bill of the bar or the restaurant where he has been drinking. Other than that, you can use the CCTV camera of that bar or restaurant. All these things, or any person who can come and give the statement that he has seen the person drinking, these can also be used as the evidence against the person over here. Okay, here the lab report is just one of the evidences. Okay, there are other evidences. Number of drinks consumed can be reconstructed from the bills at the bar, statement of the bar owner or the staff, or available CCTV footages. Okay, so that is also considered as evidence. In the Pune case, such a scientific reconstruction can be used to determine the accused blood alcohol levels, because here in this case the sample has been swapped, and that is why basically you can go for such, you can say, evidences. How can tampering of blood sample be prevented? Now, as we have seen that the evidence tampering was done, as I told you here, the forensic team that swapped the samples over here. So how can it be prevented? So obviously samples are sealed and handed over to the authorities to prevent tampering. Okay, now AIMS has now a machine to calculate the blood alcohol level on site, so that the sample do not have to be sent for the testing. Okay, so basically on site you can test what is the alcohol level. Okay, so that is about the alcohol level. From here, only one or two things which you have to remember is that is what is the time, that is 10 hours you have to take the sample. Then what is the washing rate, that is 10 to 15 milligram per 100 ml per hour. Okay, so that is the washing rate. And they can also ask you what is the washing rate of alcohol. So basically that is the time in which alcohol will be, you can say, metabolized from the body. Okay, so that is about this article. Now moving further, China slams US over missile deployment in the Philippines. Now, China's defense ministry Thursday strongly condemned the deployment of the US and intermediate range missile system in the northern Philippines during the military drill, brought huge risk of war into the region. That is what Chinese diplomats have said, that by deploying these missiles in this particular area, you have got the risk of this particularly, you can say, war in this particular region. Okay. Now the thing is, we have already talked about Philippines and the Spratly Islands, the Scarborough Shoal, or the, you can say, Paracel Island, so many times that I did not include the photos etc. this time, because we have gone for it various times. Now it is our responsibility to go and check those PPTs which have been uploaded to the Telegram channel. Link is given in the description. Okay. So that is about this. Second thing is, China remained highly vigilant and opposed to the deployment, the first in the Indo-Pacific region. The US and the Philippines practices put the entire region under the fire of US, brought huge risk of war into the region, seriously undermined the peace. Intermediate range missiles are strategic and offensive weapons within a strong Cold War color. Okay. Now these are the something which has happened, that they have gone for some kind of military drill. Okay, since Philippines is an ally of USA has gone for a military drill over there, and they had deployed some missiles over there. Okay, China has this tendency to make things bigger or provoke the other parties. Okay, now China deploys its own advanced intermediate range missiles as part of the extensive conventional ballistic missile arsenal. So in the response, they have also gone for the deployment of the missiles. Okay, now Typhoon missile system, which basically it is of USA's missile system, and they are going for the shoulder to shoulder drills. Basically, as I told you, Philippines and the USA were going for the drills, and these Typhoon missile system was part of that. Okay, so that is about this. Please go through the contested areas in South China Sea. That would be important for your prelims this time. Okay, now moving further, this is from the Israel and Gaza. There is nothing much to discuss. Why I take these screenshots over here is because you have to be connected with whatever going on there. Right now they have actually entered into, they were in the Gaza, they have come to the Rafah crossing, and now they have actually taken over the Gaza. Okay, Israel takes over Gaza border with Egypt. Its Rafah offensive rolls on. Okay, so that is there. Second thing is, Israel lifts ban on the Gaza food sales, but supplies fell short of the needs. Okay, so now they have lift the ban on the you can say aid which was coming through various crossings over here. So basically now they have lifted the ban, but the thing is supply is not there. So ultimately this whole area is in chaos, and it is supposed to be I think that it will carry on like that for a while. That is very unfortunate, but I don't know what they are planning to do. So that is about this Israel game. Now the last part, which is your for an own read, that is Vivekanand connection, why PM Modi chosen to meditate in Kanyakumari. So I'll not go into details of this article because we have already talked about it. I have taken an in focus program on that, but for your reference I would just tell you that there is this temple, okay, that is in Kanyakumari. There was this name, that is Vivekanand Rock Memorial. Okay, so that is the place he will be visiting. From Kanyakumari there is this Vivekanand rock, which is you can say a rock or islet basically, and it is nearly 500 meters from the Vavathurai, that is the place in Kanyakumari, from where you have to take a ferry service to this particular islet, and there you can visit this Vivekanand Rock Memorial. Now why this is important? Because this is the place where Vivekanand has got the enlightenment. He was wandering for like 4 or 5 years for his knowledge, his enlightenment, but he did not find it. But in this particular temple he found it, and then he has actually formalized his philosophy over here. Okay, so that is why it is culturally significant. Okay, other than that also Vivekanand, that he was associated with the that Ramakrishna mission, and Mr. Modi, Narendra Modi, is also associated with the Ramakrishna mission, and now with that he is giving a particular message, that is cultural and the spiritual heritage is important for us. We are trying to protect them. So that is there. In previous elections he has gone to Kedarnath for meditation, and this time he has come to this particular area. So now please remember that Kanyakumari and this Vivekananda rock will be important for you. Now you can go through this particular article if you are interested, but please remember the location because that can be important. Okay, now last part, that is your practice question, that is what role does InSpace play in India's space sector, designing rockets for ISRO missions, regulating international satellite launches, promoting and supervising the private sector, and operating communication satellites in orbit. Okay, so these are the 4 options which are given in front of you. You have to tell what is the role of InSpace we have talked about. Okay, so you can choose the correct answer from here and reply in the comment box. With that, I would like to take your leave. If you have not subscribed the channel, please subscribe it. Have a good day. Thank you.